Hi, I'm Scott Wilson, the pastor at the Oaks Fellowship in Dallas, Texas. And I just want to talk to you for a minute about a real game-changing type thing that's happened in my mind in the last couple of years, a real paradigm shift. And, it really happened for me at a point of confrontation, And I don't know if that happens to you sometimes, but for me, it's a lot of times God sends somebody, there's a confrontation, there's something like that, and that gets my attention to start thinking and listening to perhaps things that God's wanted to change in my mind, new thoughts. For me, it was like this. I was at a restaurant with our staff. We're eating there, just hanging out. The mayor of our city walks in and says, "Hey, Pastor, can I talk to you a minute?" I said, "Of course." We go to the side and he says, "Pastor, you got a problem." I say, "Okay, what is it?" And he says, "You have a really bad reputation in our community." Well, that's not what I want to hear as a pastor, especially as a church. I mean, it's kind of not what I'm aiming for. But he says, "You got a bad reputation." I said, "How's that?" And he said, "Well, it's like this. People just think of you as the big church over there, y'all doing your own thing, and that you're not really involved in the community." I said, "What are you talking about? Every single thing we do is for the community." He said, "That's it. You're doing stuff for us all the time, but when you're never available to do stuff with us." As I went back to my office and started praying about it, God really impressed in my heart to think about that seed thought. Is there truth in that? And as I looked at it, I'm going, you know what? It's really true. A lot of times we're here to do stuff for the community, to try to get the community to come to us and to our church and to make us be the hero. And man, our church is really doing things instead of being available to the objectives and the goals and the things that the community says, this is what we really need. And so I said, "God, show me what to do." And there were three thoughts that came to my mind that we took action on this last year. Number one, I went to one of our staff pastors and I said, "I ordain you, anoint you, to be our community relations person. I want you to go meet with people in the chamber. I want you to be at the city council meeting. I want you to be at the school board meetings. I want everybody who is a key player in our community to have your cell phone number. So if they need something, if they need our help, if they want to get a hold of somebody, even if they're frustrated, that they can call you and you're going to be a relationship person with the community." That was huge. The second thing is we had a One for Ellis County Day at our church, and it was really cool. Ellis County is the county that we're in, and we invited all the service organizations of our county to come to our church that day to be our special and honored guests. United Way, Salvation Army, Red Cross, Hope Clinic, all these different organizations to come. And what we did is, at the end of my message, I was talking about, caring for the community and doing things in this way. And they came up with a cardboard testimony. This is how many people in our community don't have medical insurance. They turn over. Hope Clinic is helping this many people. And at the end, man, they're all across the platform. People of our church stood up, gave a standing ovation. And then we closed out the service that day 15 minutes early. And I said, "Service isn't over. All these organizations have a booth in the concourse. Go out there, talk to them. Hear their story. Hear what they're doing in the community. And perhaps if it resonates with you, volunteer to be a part of it." Because our church doesn't want to just raise up volunteers to be ushers and greeters in the nursery and parking lot, but in our community, involved as coaches and counselors and helpers. And this is, I think, the calling of God in our life. And the third thing we did is we got our calendar at the church in alignment with the calendar of the community. And instead of doing our own fall festival, we took ownership of the fall festival of the community, what they were doing, and said, "How many volunteers do we need?" I think we had like 450, 500 volunteers come out for the City Fall Festival. We put it up on our billboard, our electronic sign for the highway talking about it, and we made the city's Fall Festival a success. Instead of doing our own community outreach fall cleanup day, helping and clean the park and doing stuff like that in the city, we said, "What are you guys doing? What are your dates?" And we put our dates of doing those things with them, and to make it a success, not just for us as a church, for the community, but for the city, and making a win for them. It really has made a huge difference. This last January, while the city council was in session, the mayor awarded our church with the Distinguished Service Award, and they took a picture, put it in the newspaper. It was really cool. But one of the things he said that just touched my heart so much, he said this: "Our city is a better place to live because of this church." In 1 year's time, because something changed in my heart and my mind, this paradigm shift for me changed a whole perception of what the Oaks Church was like in our community. You know, since then I've really been thinking about it, and really what we're talking about is the incarnational model that Christ set up for us. God not only sent His Son to earth to die on the cross for us, to pay the price for our sins, but to live among us for 33 years, to demonstrate to us as people the heart and the character and the person of God the Father. In fact, Isaiah prophesied that He would be Emmanuel, which means what? God who is with us. And it's huge, guys, to think that in John 20, He breathed on the disciples in verse 21, and He said to them these words, "In the same way the Father has sent me to you, I am now sending you to the people of this world." I think this is a huge paradigm shift that the church of the Lord Jesus Christ needs to have. That we're not just here to do stuff for the community. We're here to rub shoulders, be with them. In this sense, to not be in the spotlight, but to man the spotlight and shine it on people who are doing good and to help them. To not be the hero, but to be the hero maker. What if the church, the hope of the world, was at the center of solution for the key issues of our community, not just as we see it, but as the people of our city see it, and to be there to say, we want to help you be successful? I think it could be huge.